Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've filmed, so I apologize for that. I started college back up recently and I haven't had time to sit down and do a true video. So hopefully I can get into a routine of usually doing these on Saturdays or Sundays. I got a candle burning here today. It's the DW Raspberry and Rose Macaroon one. I won it in a giveaway and I can talk about that later when I'm doing the makeup, but since tomorrow's gonna be Valentine's Day, I wanted to do a simple, kind of like a soft glam Valentine's look, nothing, not something like too simple, but also something like not totally full glam, if that makes sense. So if you want to see how the look turns out, then just keep on watching. After looking in the monitor, I didn't realize how staticky my hair is, and I think it's because like the winter air, and here in Missouri we're having a lot of winter air, especially from the Arctic coming in. Like right now it's like, I think last time I saw it was like 4 degrees. Like, it's terrible out, and the wind chill's like -18, so that's not doing our hair or skin any favors. So I'm gonna go in with the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Quench Primer. I had this from like I can't remember. It came in some box set that I had, but it's a pretty good primer and hydrates well. I'm gonna go in with the NYX Sculpt and Highlight Brow Contour in the shade Light Beige and Espresso. I don't know if they make this anymore. I think they discontinued it. But it's a pretty good, I would say it's pretty waxy, so that way it kind of helps your brows to like stay in place. So if you don't like waxy brow products, I wouldn't recommend this. Some of my makeup that I left at school because I have some of it there. It's kind of more like my everyday natural stuff that I can use pretty quickly and not have a whole lot of time to take up using that, so. I don't have my brow powders with me, and my other brow pencil, the Maybelline one that I use, is at school, so. I try to take this pretty lightly since it can get pretty dark if you don't monitor how much you use, so I kind of just lightly go over it. And with how dark my brows kind of already are, I try to be pretty careful with it. Go back in with that spoolie and just kind of brush it all through there. I've contemplated trying the soap brow trend just because, like, with how thick my brows are, I sometimes feel like I don't have to put much in there, or none at all, really. You've probably noticed, I like to hold things on my pinky sometimes, just so I don't have to set it down. Alright, brows are done. I'm gonna go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair on the lids, just kind of for a mini eye base. And I'm gonna do the eyes first just because from what I'm like thinking in my head what I want to do for the look, I'm afraid to do the foundation and the eyes because I'm afraid there's gonna be a lot of fallout since it's gonna be more of a sultry but glittery look, so I don't want to get that all over the place. I feel like lately I've been struggling with like keeping my eyeshadow from creasing, and I don't know why, because I've used concealer as like my eye primer in the past and haven't had a problem, but lately it's like it's been creasing a ton. I don't know if anyone else experiences that, but I think I might have to go back to using the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer so it has like that matte feel, because I feel like my eyes have just been out of whack with that lately. Okay, I blended that out off camera. I'm going to go in with the transition shade to start the look, so I'm going to go in with this shade in the Morphe 3503 palette in the bottom corner. Just kind of a good warm tone brown to start off the look in the top area there. I'm gonna like go right here and then kind of just like, kind of like a difference between like the tapping and like the patting. Kind of like a stamping motion. Then you can slowly start doing like the circles or like the windshield wiper motions. I feel like a problem I have in the past is sometimes I want to do like the transition shade too low into the crease because then it ends up becoming the crease shade, and you want to try to keep it separated so that way you get the gradient. In the past I had a lot of problems with that, and I feel like sometimes I catch myself doing that too, so it's kind of a common problem, but I'm going to go with a little bit more of that. I kind of want to focus on the outer corner here, not so much like in the inner. I'm gonna do the other eye off camera. I went ahead and did the other eye off camera, and for this look I'm kind of envisioning like a really dark crease and then like a glittery kind of gold color. I'll get into more what I'm gonna use for that later, but this is the LA Colors blending brush, if anyone was interested. It came in a set I got. It's actually pretty good, and for their price point, it's really good. For the crease, I'm going to go back into that 3503 palette. I'm going to take this darker brown here, almost kind of, I would call it like an espresso rather than like a darker brown because it has those really true, rich, deep pigments in there. So I'm going to go in with that in the crease. I'm going to take that on this It Cosmetics brush. The label's gone, but I can try to link it below if it's still available. One thing I like to do when I'm trying to focus on the crease shade is kind of, when you want to find like the true crease, you want to take your brush kind of like, I'm going to like turn this way so you can see better. You want to make sure that you can like sit it there, like in that true crease where you feel like your eye stops at, and that's where you can really start blending it out. That way you can truly know like where your natural crease is at, just like where your eye sits. And if you have hooded eyes, I would recommend going up a bit, just so that way whatever crease that you're trying to create doesn't get hidden by like your extra layers of skin that are on your eye up there. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just blend that in circles a bit. I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera. Now it's time for the fun stuff. I'm going to go in with these Stila Magnificent Metals glitters in the shade, the Kitten Karma one, which is like their most famous shade. It looks like that. Very champagne glittery golden color. I'm going to go in with that on the lid. There's a few different ways that you can apply this. You can either just take it straight from the applicator or put on another brush. Personally, if I'm trying to do it something quick and nice at the same time, I'll basically just take the applicator and just go in with it, so I think I'm just going to do that for this video. I'm just going to focus on the center. And with this, a little bit goes a long way, as you can tell how insane that is. So I'm going to try to not put a whole lot on, but we want enough so that way we can kind of get that effect on the whole lid. And you wonder why it's sold out. I'm going to keep this area kind of clean so that way when we can do the outer V, I don't have anything I have to like go over so it doesn't look any kind of clumpy or anything like that. I went ahead and did the other eye off camera while I'm letting the eyes kind of dry so that way I don't kind of mess up with the tackiness of it. I'm going to probably go back in with that shade. I might tap into the black a little bit just to give it a bit more dimension, but when I come back after letting it dry, I'll do that. I'm going to take this ColourPop brush. It's kind of one of those, I wouldn't call it domed, but like, it's got that good shape, so that way it fits in the outer V well. I'm going to go back into that shade in the 3503 that I just showed you. I'm going to take that, tap a bit of the excess off so we don't get too much color there, and I'm going to take that, kind of just stamp it on the end there. You can kind of take the tip of the brush and kind of like lead it into the crease too if you wanted. I'm going to do the other eye too. And a big thing that I try to leave the outer V kind of, when I use glitters like this, I don't like to put a lot on the end because when you take the brush to do the outer V, it starts flicking the glitter everywhere sometimes, which is really irritating because then you get all that fallout underneath. So I try to keep that clean, that way we don't have to mess with that. I'm going to go in with a little bit more of that. Alright. Well, those are done. So I'm going to do the eyeliner after this. I went in with the shade In Light from the Jack on the Hill palette in the brow bone. I didn't feel like I needed to film that because it's pretty quick, but you can see where I put it. It's a pretty good brow bone shade. For the eyeliner, I'm going to go in with the Essence Super Precise eyeliner. I'm going to do it off camera just to save time. I did the eyeliner. This eye kind of didn't want to cooperate. You can maybe see the unbalance, but this eye turned out really good. So for the mascara, I'm going to go in, I think I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Lash Brag mascara. It's this one. And I'll do that off camera too. I did the mascara, and I'm actually going to do false lashes, which I've never done that on here. Hopefully it goes well. Usually I have a pretty easy time, but knowing here, I'll probably mess it up. While we're waiting this for like to get tacky, whenever I'm doing like the placement, I'll use my fingers most of the time because sometimes I feel like the tweezers kind of, I don't know, they don't put it in the right spot sometimes, or maybe that's just me. But I find the fingers to be easier just because you're closer to it. I'm going to take that. I kind of like to start with the inner corner, because that's where I usually have the most issues with it sticking down. Make sure it gets, I think it's glued. I kind of clamp them down a little bit. I kind of like to do that too, that way it... Okay, the other lash is drying. I'm trying to figure out like what happened here because like the way it's sticking up it looks ridiculous. I don't know if I need to like bend it a certain way. I don't know. I tried to fix it. Like that still really bothers me, so I think we're just gonna stick with it and deal with it. For foundation, I'm gonna go in with the Catrice HD Liquid Foundation in the shade Porcelain Beige 002. I've been wanting to try that new e.l.f. Camo Concealer. Not Camo Concealer. The e.l.f. CC Camo Cream. My mom got a bottle of it. I need to see if they have a shade for me. I'm worried that the shade range wouldn't be light enough, but we'll see what happens. Because whenever I first saw the shade range, I think it was at Target, I saw the lightest shade and it was not the lightest. It was still pretty... I would say it was still considered like light, not fair or porcelain, so. I'm gonna go back in with that same Tarte Shape Tape Concealer and just put that under the eyes. Go ahead and blend that out. That foundation and that concealer look pretty good together. It has a good, like the way that they blend together. I don't like it when like you have a drastic line in this area where it like transitions. So it's a good gradient. One thing I've noticed with a lot of concealers now is you don't want to let them sit there too long. Because if you do, it'll kind of like start to sink in where it's sitting at, and that way you can't get like a seamless blend. Come on. I had something on my under eye. Another thing, I like to look up, if you haven't noticed, my eyes kind of do a thing where they don't follow each other when they're looking up in certain directions, because I have something called Duane syndrome where my eye doesn't have one of the optical nerves, so that way it doesn't follow my eyes when they look a certain direction. So if you've been freaked out by my eyes doing that, it's not a problem. It's just something I have, so. I'm going to go in with the ColourPop blush sticks in the shade, I think it says the shade Mini Me. I forget it's on the lid. Yep, Mini Me. And I'm gonna take this. I'm just kind of gonna go and do like kind of just like stipple it. And another thing, I kind of like to warm up the product sometimes too. That way it's kind of more emollient. That way it doesn't like streak your makeup. And I kind of like to just take my fingers and like tap it in there. I found if you try to use a brush, it'll kind of move your foundation around a bit too much. And this way it can just blend in with the foundation. It's a good pinky shade. I would say there's like a hint of peach in it. It's not like, it's not full on Barbie pink. Like, it's wearable, so it's not like in your face. This is actually, I think, the first cream blush that I've bought. So, it's cheap, affordable, and it's good. So, I'm going to go and set the under eyes on the face. I'm going in with the Easy Bake Powder from Huda Beauty in the shade Pound Cake. Honestly, anymore, I don't use a brush for powder. I just use a sponge. It's easier, and that way it kind of doesn't make your makeup... I forgot the term. I think it's like microdermabrasion or something. But it makes your skin has this like textured look to it, which if you already have textured skin like I do, then that's not really a benefit. It's going to make it even more textured than it already is. So I would definitely buy this powder again. It kind of helps a lot with the oil control, and since I have oilier skin, it helps it stay in place. And I bought this like, I think it was in August of 2019. And I've had it for a good while, and it's lasted a long time, so it's a pretty good investment. I'm gonna go in with the Benefit Hoola Bronzer with the contour brush from LA Colors. The brush I usually use is at school, so... Sorry for the prolonged silence. I'm trying to think of stuff to talk about, but... The Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, so that's always a good thing. Especially, like, I'm not a Chiefs fan, so anyone that's here that's a Chiefs fan, I apologize, but... I went ahead and dusted the bake off, and now I'm going to highlight. I'm going to use this Makeup Revolution highlighter. I think it's the shade, yeah, Golden Lights. The whole top of it's like gone. I've used it so much, and it's like a baked highlighter. It's got like a good gold sheen to it. Put it on the nose. I try to be very diligent in how much I put on the Cupid's bow because I don't want to have like that sweaty lip look, so I try to be very careful there. You probably noticed that my hair's a bit darker. I use that splat hair color. Would not recommend. probably the worst hair color I've ever used. It was too messy and it wasn't worth it. Even though my hair turned out really nice, it wasn't worth it. I went in with the Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara on the lower lashes. And to set the face, I'm gonna take the Urban Decay All Nighter spray and spray that on. As you can tell, it's starting to get low with how much that took. And I'm gonna do the lips last. It wouldn't be a Valentine's Day look without a red lip, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go in with the LA Girl red lip liner I mentioned in my last video. I'm gonna take that and outline the lips. I've been wanting to get more shades of that new NYX lipstick. I forgot the name, but I have the shade Magic Maker. I've been wanting to get one of the red ones because it lasts a long time with the mask and it doesn't transfer. So today I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild liquid lipstick in the shade Missy and Fierce. It's this really good red. I realized whenever I was filming this that I blocked my lips basically the entire time with my mirror, so you can see the lips at the end, but I apologize that I blocked it when I was putting it on. Alright, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys liked the look. Do one final eye close look. I think it's perfect for a date night or a night on the town. And if you guys have any more suggestions for me, leave them in the comments below. Also like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!